He's trying to be cool. Fix your hair.
So from Lord of the Rings to Dune is what you actually enjoy?
Pretty much, yes. As a kid, as a preteen, as a teenager, one of the biggest things was I wanted to like experience the world. Mm-hmm. Now that I have lived everywhere, including India, I appreciate the entire world, but I also make sure to always make sure that I know my roots. I am really bad at tests. I'm really bad at studying for exams.
Okay, don't disturb me tonight, guys, because I'm gonna watch this show. Do you like to read? I like to read. However, it takes me a long time to complete a book. But there's one person at Ajackus who can read 2 to 3 books of more than 200 pages in less than a day. He's a speed reader. He's one of the most outgoing personalities. And today, I'm going to introduce you to him in our new episode of Humans of Ajackus. Please meet Mr. Rohan Krishna. Hey Rohan.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome to Bombay first. This is your first trip to Bombay, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
How are you feeling?
Tired. It's been a long flight, but looking forward to exploring the place. Yeah.
So, have you heard anything about the Dream City before, or you just came without any expectations?
Let's see. Most of what I know comes from movies.
Okay. The
Bollywood and Netflix. Mm-hmm. Mostly looking forward to especially with the pandemic, seeing nightlife that actually doesn't shut down after midnight.
Probably that might not happen right now.
Yes, but that's what I was looking forward to when I came in here.
But so I was talking about speed reading before we started discussing this, having this conversation. Tell us about your speed reading thing. How many books you can finish in a day?
It entirely depends if I actually like the book or not.
Okay.
Right. So for example, this book, this is like the 3rd time I've read it, 4th time I've read it. Really? I like reading books that I've read again. I just read it faster every time. So the way that I do speed reading, and actually the way that most people do speed reading, is because I just look at a passage, and when I start reading the book, a couple pages in, it's like a movie that plays through your head.
Okay.
And the words on the page are just a script, and they just go through as scenes. Just like when you're doing work and you're watching a movie at the same time, you absorb the entire movie, but you don't get all the dialogues. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how speed reading works. That's how I managed to get through multiple books.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Also, I do know that you are currently pursuing your Ph.D. while you are working with Ajackus. How do you manage your time?
Well, right now, so what I'm doing is I'm taking courses when and where I can. Mm-hmm. It's honestly, it does get a little boring. PhD is a lot of research and just writing papers. I think I asked you some time ago about for a master consulting agreement because I had to take a class on it in order to like have the credits when I eventually like finish up the coursework for my PhD. So it's just a lot of like dumbed down grunt work for now. But the way I manage it when it actually gets interesting is I tend to not sleep. Okay. I sleep 2-3 hours a day during the week, then sleep 13-14 hours. One of the things with me is because I have ADHD, I can, over the years since I didn't really take medication for it, what I've done is I know how to harness my hyperfocus, so if I sit down and I start working, I won't get up from that place until I finish working, and that's unhealthy, but it's helped me cope with working with Ajackus and researching at the same time.
Still definitely unhealthy, and we are going to talk about this probably offline. Yeah, I definitely want to have a conversation on this one. Besides all the things that we share together, there is one peculiar thing that I want to mention here. We both are accident prone guys, and more than me, I think this guy has been banged up like multiple times. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, I didn't do it on purpose, obviously.
Of course.
But yeah, so counting major bones, I only have one major unbroken bone in my body.
Curious, which one is that?
It's the right femur.
Okay.
So I played a lot of contact sports as in middle school and high school with rugby and with boxing. So boxing ended up breaking most of my upper body, And also I was accident prone as a kid, so the upper body was mostly boxing, and my collarbone was me falling down a set of stairs.
Okay.
My calf bones, I was in kindergarten. I slipped on the road, I fell down, and a car ran over both my legs. The guy was very nice. He took me to the hospital, and
Dude,
everything was
he actually banged you up, and then he was nice. He took
Well, I slipped and fell. I was
like
a kid, and I fell off the pavement, and he didn't stop in time.
Right.
He didn't do it on purpose.
Interesting. So you speed read. I know you love Rubik cubes. You have been a part of rugby team, your boxing team. You go for track meets. He also is leading a team at Ajackus. He's also a hiring manager. And do you know, guys, how old is he? He's just 25. And in these 25 years, you have stayed mostly outside India. Tell us about that. Like, how has that experience been?
It was actually weird. So you can hear my accent now. It's mostly American with like a splash of Indian. But one of the biggest things I noticed going everywhere, thankfully, because like I was born with the internet, grew up with the internet, I wasn't too bad with the culture shock. But my accent though, that was bad. So when I was like 10 or 11, I moved to London, and there I had this really thick Indian accent, and no one could understand me. And then I actually moved back to India for 2 years in high school, the last 2 years of high school, and no one in India could understand me because it was half Indian, half British.
Okay.
And then I moved to the US, and since I went to an American international school, it was a third Indian, third British, third American.
Interesting.
And then I immersed myself, and now it's just the accent that you see today. So learning by doing is something that I want to bring here and bring back here.
I kind of concur with that. I always feel that those numbers on your mark sheets does not really define as to who you are.
Absolutely.
And I think it's all about what you have learned and how you can implement that knowledge into actual applications that matters the most.
And how you can take away just the knowledge that will apply to you in the real world, and like not take all the restrictions that come around in a closed education system. Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's what we want to teach our next generation. Like
Absolutely,
how to have more of an engineering mindset and not just become engineers.
Exactly, not just like churn out code, but rather problem solve.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly. Let's talk about your personal life, okay? Do you enjoy movies?
Yeah, so so my movie watching tastes are a little weird. So I tend to watch most of my movies at home. One thing is, my ears are a little sensitive, so if you see me in a theater, you'll notice that I have earphones on. I promise I'm not like listening to something else. It's just it's really loud for me, so I wear earphones in theaters.
That's the first time I'm hearing this. Go on.
It's very loud for me. I have to wear earphones. I carry them everywhere, and so I love watching movies. I love watching mostly, again, fantasy movies or thriller movies. Thriller movies are my favorite. My favorite so far, I would say, is the I'm forgetting the name. The one with Leonardo DiCaprio where he goes to an insane asylum on an island.
Shutter Island?
Shutter Island, yes. Besides movies,
And I'm not talking about work life. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I have recently started watching a lot of, slightly before Squid Game, but like I started watching a lot of.
Did you like Squid Game?
I did like Squid. I finished it in half a day.
Okay. Unpopular opinion, but I thought that it was overhyped.
It was overhyped for what it is like right now. But if you look at it as an objective TV show, which I did, it was released in Singapore and East Asian countries a little before the rest of the world. It was amazing as its own piece.
Interesting. So what I'm getting out of all these conversations is that you enjoy things where you get to think about it. Like the movies, the books that you read, the shows that you watch, you kind of enjoy where you yourself get to use your brain and visualize things? Is that
Yeah, the same with books and the same with movies and any situation that is fictional that I try to see myself in. I try to. So what happens for me is, like I mentioned earlier, I look at it as a movie. What I tend to do after reading is see how I would react placed inside that book. It would just be my own, like a fan fiction, but with me in the center as someone who knew the entire universe.
interesting? So in Lord of the Rings, what is that one character that you would like to play?
That's the thing. I don't like to play a character. I like to play myself as someone who's omniscient of the entire set of events and how I would react and how I would change the events to suit what ending I'd like to see.
Well, anyway, you have traveled to so many places and finally you are in Mumbai. So we're not gonna waste a lot of time in this conversation. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go out and explore Mumbai the way it should be explored. Thank you so much, Rohan, for coming to Bombay, especially on our invitation, and thank you so much to all of you for being part of this new episode of Humans of Ajackus. I hope you enjoyed this amazing episode of Humans of Ajackus. Stay tuned with us to know more about the incredible and amazing human beings that are working with us at Ajackus. Like and share this video in your group, comment so that we can improve further, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss the next videos in the future. Thank you.